you did it right. Girl, you make it look so easy. Everywhere you go, heads turning left and right. Can't say you a dime, you're a 20-piece. Cause girl, you're all the reason I be acting funny. Everything in me telling me don't let you get away. And all the guys looking like they wanna love you. Every day I'm your body, got not over my dead body. Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? Why you gotta look so good? With your hair.
Good evening, beautiful people. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Wanted to start the show off on a so good note because it's so cold. But, we're kind of lucky because at least we're not in Buffalo, New York. You're listening to Intellectual Radio, Voices of Change, and my name is Jana, and I'll be your host this evening. With the holidays coming up, for today on Relationship Sunday, I have the relationship guru that's going to be our special guest, Khalid Scott, and he's going to discuss love and the holidays. Normally I like to do a little research, and I was wondering, okay, what do I research about love and the holidays? I don't know what angle he's coming from. If he's going to talk about nostalgia or cozying up by the fireplace or being alone, I don't know. But wait for him. He's going to be discussing in detail love and holidays. Every show I start out with a scripture, and you got to please excuse my voice. I have overcoming a little cold. It's from Jeremiah 29:11, and I wanted to do this scripture because, in my opinion, for a lot of people, the holidays is kind of a downtime. Many of us have lost people, family members, friends, and at a time like this is when you really reminisce. So Jeremiah 29:11 talks about how God has plans for you, and He's never going to leave you, and He has great plans for you. The scripture goes, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." I used to start the show off with the News You Can Use segment. So if you're listening, please hit me up and say hello, 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 and I'll try to respond. So I'm only going to do just a couple stories. There's so much going on, and there's for the past couple weeks. So I'll be doing like a couple news stories every show. And the first news story I'm going to talk about today is with Shankila Robinson. As we all know, she's become the leading topic of discussion on social media, and rightfully so, because of what happened to her. It needs to be discovered and justice needs to be served. While her official passing has been said to be fatal alcohol poisoning, her autopsy read differently. Before her body lost all her life, Robinson sustained a cracked spine and a shattered neck. To think when she agreed to go to Kabul, all Shankila wanted to do was have a good time with her friends. Instead, she wound up being a fatal victim. Shankila Robinson received support in the wake of her passing that she could have used in the last moments of her life. Earlier this week, her story began trending on social media. Seeing how Robinson passed away while with friends, many people have been giving their opinions on friendships. There are many who have questioned how she did not realize those people were not her friends. On social media, there's a new video trending. The video shows the girl who eventually beat Miss Robinson walking through the house looking for her. Shankila Robinson's story is sad enough without any further reports. However, her family is seeking all of the details in order to serve justice. As a result, they continue to press on, and they should, despite the pain. One of Robinson's friends who did not join her on the Kabul trip took to Facebook with even more information. According to this young woman, Robinson was also robbed of $10,000 by the people she trusted. In addition, this young lady says that Robinson is the one who paid for the Airbnb where they were residing. So she was robbed of $10,000. She paid for the Airbnb, and it looks like she was set up and brutally murdered. We will pray that her family continues to get resolution and continues to find out the truth. Such a sad story. Jason David Frank, who played the Green Power Ranger Tommy Oliver on the 1990s children's series Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, has died. He was 49. Watcher Emmanuel Jones, the original Black Power Ranger who co starred with Frank in Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, wrote on Instagram that he could not believe it. My heart is sad to have lost another member of our special family. For those of you who watched and knew who he will be missed. Black mayors to lead four largest U.S. cities. Okay, now you know Chicago. We have Lori Lightfoot here in Chicago. New York has a black mayor. Houston has a black mayor. So Chicago, New York, Houston. And now Los Angeles has a black mayor. It will be helmed by black leaders after Representative Karen Bass is sworn in as Los Angeles' 43rd mayor, the first woman and second African American elected to this role. Kudos. Four of the largest cities are led by four black mayors. In Philadelphia, an ex-Philadelphia officer, he's not an officer anymore, gets less than 2 years for killing a 25-year-old black man. A judge on Thursday sentenced a white former Philadelphia police officer to 11 and a half to 23 months, so between less than a year and 2 years, in prison in the 2017 fatal shooting of an unarmed black motorist, far less than the decades behind bars he potentially faced. The then officer Eric Roosh shot and killed 25-year-old Dennis Plowden 6 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, after arriving on the scene, as Plowden sat on a sidewalk upon crashing a car during a high-speed chase. He was fired from the department months later. So he crashed his car, he sat on the sidewalk. I guess the officer went to him. Within 6 seconds, he killed him. A 22-year-old gunman entered an LGBTQ nightclub in Colorado Springs just before midnight yesterday and immediately opened fire, killing at least 5 people and injuring 25 others before patrons confronted and stopped him. The suspect in the shooting at Club Q was identified as Anderson Lee Aldridge, according to Colorado Springs police chief. He used a long rifle in the shooting, and 2 firearms were found at the scene. At least 2 people inside the club confronted and fought the gunman and prevented further violence. We owe them a great deal of thanks, he said. Oh, man, that would be terrible. You know, this is happening so often where, particularly at clubs and where there's large amount of people, or this random shooting. Wow, I just hope things kind of calm down, and I just hope that there's peace over the land and we heal. Heavy snow continues to pile up in western New York. Last count, there's some areas that had 77 inches of snow. 77. And now the wind's blowing. And that's the quick news you can use. Now I'm going to bring this next young man in the studio, and he's going to talk about love and holidays. And I'm just going to be listening because I don't know where he's going to go with this. I don't know if he's going to talk about, there's just so much going on. And then, before he even gets on, I'm doing all these assumptions. And then I know you've heard of people that break up with people during the holidays because they don't want to have to give gifts, or people who seek a mate during the holidays because they want a gift. I don't know. Anyway, we're going to let him come and tell his story. Help me welcome the relationship guru, Khalid Scott.
Good evening. Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight?
I hope they're doing good. I hope I hear some comments. Somebody say something, someone comment. How are you, Khalid Scott?
I am doing extremely well. Absolutely.
Fabulous.
I am in season now.
You have what?
I said I'm into the holiday season right now.
Oh, wow. Everyone is. If you go to the stores, you'll see the cars. It's crazy. You've lost weight. You look like you're really trimming down. You're still doing what you were doing before?
Yeah, I'm down 50 pounds now and 50 pounds to go. Absolutely. I'm on a mission. I told you, Morris Chestnut by the springtime.
You're at 50 pounds that quick?
50 pounds. Absolutely. I'm telling you, when you make up your mind to do something, Janice, it gets done. It gets done. I eat like a bird, and I'm doing like less than 1,000 calories a day. And then I go to the gym 4 to 5 days a week.
Oh, wow.
Yes, absolutely. And then again, remember, when men lose weight, we lose it pretty quick because we don't retain water like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So
Well, good for you. I guess I'll call you Morris.
you said what now?
I guess I'll start calling you Morris. Hey, Morris.
What? Please, please. That's what they used to call me in the 90s.
They did? Oh, Morris. Oh my God. Okay. Okay. That's cool.
Absolutely.
I guess
Absolutely.
everyone has a look-alike. In the 90s and the late 80s, I was living in Pennsylvania and I used to go to Buffalo. And one a famous motto is from there, Beverly Johnson.
Yeah.
And I knew some
Yeah.
people who went to school with her and they said, "You look like Beverly Johnson." Yeah, 100 pounds smaller, but whatever. Everyone has someone who they look like, you know? So, hey, that's a beautiful thing and that's a beautiful goal.
Let's go with it. Let's go.
Yep. So let's talk about, ooh, I don't know where you're going to go with this. So I'm just listening. Love in the holidays. Go for it.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, the holiday season, especially for somebody like me who's a clinician, it goes either way, right? So during this time, I see a lot of people are happy. You
Hmm.
know, they're thankful. They do a retrospect of their life and say, you know what? I have family, I have friends who love me. I'm at peace. I've accomplished what I wanted to accomplish in my life. I see my life going in a positive direction. And now, during this time of holidays, of Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's, even leading up to Valentine's Day, and setting certain goals for my life, I'm in a happy place,
Okay.
right? But that is not commonplace, not especially with the work I do as a clinician and as a social worker. During this season, I see despair, I see depression, I see a lot of anxiety, and I see a lot of sadness. Why? Because just like I described that person with a good life,
Hmm.
but you got family and supportive friends, and you have everything you would want to have, your home, your car, your salary, that dream occupation. A whole lot of us have not achieved that. And the holidays is a time where we start doing a lot of introspecting
Hmm.
and retrospecting and a lot of thinking, right? And we think about, man, last January 1, I set up all these goals to have for myself. And then here it is 10, 11 months later, I haven't achieved all of them. I haven't achieved none of them. Wow. Now I got to hit the restart button. Throughout the year, you might have lost a loved one. You know, I lost my granny. I lost my mom. I lost my dad. I lost a child, you know, and then it's a lot of expectations we put on ourselves during the holidays, right? So, like, if you're a parent of children, you might want to get your kid that PlayStation 5, which is what, $500-$600,
Oh, dear.
right? I can't afford it, you know. Or, man, I wanted to buy my wife a new ring. We celebrated 25 years, and I wanted to get her that $7,000 ring, but I can't afford that. Or, hey, I might have lost my job recently. I'm going to celebrate the holidays. Or, man, I cleaned out my closet and all the negative people, but now here's the holidays. Where I'm going for Thanksgiving? Who am I hanging with for Christmas? Do I have a special love in my life who I'm going to be with on New Year's Eve to bring the new year in? I work at the VA hospital,
Hmm.
and we see a record number of veterans who relapse on drugs and alcohol. And then, Janice, I've shared with you more than once. Last holiday season of 21, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I had 7 African American men call me who were contemplating suicide. These are men. And they weren't young men in their 20s. These were husbands and dads and granddaddies. They were in their 40s, 50s, and 60s.
Hmm.
right? And they were really thinking about ending their lives. And when I asked them, Janice, what is the prevailing issue that's going on with you to make you want to take your life, brother? And they were like, Khalid, I'm not getting along with my wife. All seven of them, all seven of them. And then as I was talking to them, they were like, and I asked them a plain question, a very prominent question. I said, so you're contemplating taking your life, and can I ask you a question? Because I'm a divorced man.
Hmm.
And if it's that bad, we can go down to the Daily Center and end this. I'm real clear about that. But what about your children?
Oh,
Did you not think how this is going to impact your daughter? You're probably the hero in her life. What about your son? You know, you're the one who teaches him about manhood and about being brave and handling things. And do you know all of them said, Khalid, I wasn't even really giving my kids. I wasn't even thinking about them. I'm so consumed with the fighting and the bickering and the stress and the depression of this marriage I'm in.
do you find that more prevalent in men than women wanting to commit suicide because of failed relationship?
Well, see, the thing is, when women are going through marital issues, you all are brave enough,
Tell everybody.
transparent enough to say, let's do some counseling.
Yeah.
Or let me get with my girlfriend Janice and Tamika and Donna and Linda, and let's go and have some mimosas or cosmopolitans and go and look at some male strippers and make myself feel good. But then us brothers, we don't have outlets. We don't have outlets. Because if I go over to my homie's house, he's going through it with his wife.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? And so married men don't get outlets, or we don't feel comfortable opening up. And of course, we don't always ask for therapy because dang, therapy, I gotta be that's for those weak dudes. And so not only you dealing with marital issues, you might have stuff going on with your children, then you might have financial issues, stuff at work. It's a lot on us men, but we don't get to always open up and talk about it. Because if we talk about it, we sound like we're whining and complaining, instead of just venting and being healthy about it. So we keep it all in, Janice, until it gets unbearable. And then we feel like I have no other outlet other than let me leave out of here. Let me take my life. Because don't nobody care, you know? Don't nobody care.
How do you talk them off that cliff? Do you have group sessions with like-minded men that are feeling the same way?
Okay. Well, so let me give you an example with one of the men that called me. When he called me, Janice, it was 1 o'clock in the morning. He called me the week before Christmas, and I happened to be on vacation that week, right? So I answered the call because who's calling me at 1 o'clock in the morning?
For
Right?
real.
Luckily, I picked up the phone, and I knew him. I knew him. So when I picked up the phone, he's like, "Hey, Lid, that's my nickname, Lid, brother. I got the shotgun in my front seat right now." And I was like, "Wait a minute, brother. What are you telling me? You mean you have a shotgun?" And I'm about to swallow it. I'm about to swallow it. And I said, "Brother, what's going on?" "Lid, I just found out my wife slept with my boy." And I was like, "Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Oh, wow." I said, "Brother, let's talk. Let's talk. I'm here. I don't have to get up in the morning. Let's talk." Well, after about an hour or so, I was able to convince him to stay on the phone with me as he drove himself to the emergency room of the local hospital. And then he went and checked himself in. They end up doing an evaluation on him, and they diagnosed him with anxiety and major depressive disorder. So now, a year later, he's on medication, psychotropic medication, and he's seeing a therapist. But what if I didn't answer the
With the
phone?
wife? Is he with the wife still?
Um, they're trying to reconcile, but it's up and down. It's up and down. His thing is, Khalid, I got 5 kids. And I said, brother, it's always your decision. As long as you're not staying in an unhealthy environment, and as long as you are seeing your therapist and what you can do, then you make it work however you got to make it work. But then it's issues of self-esteem, because for me, Janice, I'm not staying with a woman who slept with my boy. But what me and him talked about was, brother, how many times did you slip out on her and see other women? And he said, Khalid, probably more than 10 times.
Oh,
And I said, dude, don't you think your wife knows about some of those affairs? Yes. So I said, brother, be real clear about this. She wanted to devastate you, because when women cheat, they don't get caught. They don't get caught. And by her sleeping with your boy, your best friend, she wanted it to be devastating to you. She wanted it to be impactful. She wanted you to hurt to your core.
like she's been consistently hurt. But do you think, I know that was probably the catalyst that made him want to go over the edge, but do you think he probably had that anxiety and depression anyway with the self-esteem issues, and something would have triggered him to do that anyway? And what if he wouldn't have talked to you that night?
See, these are all what if questions, right? And then you add, this was the holidays, when again, you're supposed to be happy, right? You're supposed to have cheer.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be about family.
Yep.
So here it is. I find out I was betrayed by not only my wife,
Oh yeah.
but probably
Yeah.
the guy I ran through and told him all my issues. So it was a double-edged sword hitting him. And so with that, that's why I wanted to address tonight about love and the holidays and how it can go either way, and discuss tips with people about making sure you own your happiness in this season and in this time of day, and how to manage your expectations, and how to open your mouth and tell people what you need from them. You know? And I'm gonna call this my wish list, right? So for Christmas we all do wish lists, right?
Yep.
But when you're a person going through some tragedies and traumas, you can create a wish list too. And maybe on that wish list, number one, maybe I want to get right with my God or my higher being. Number one, you know, I need God to help me forgive myself for the things I've done wrong. I need God to help me forgive others who have done me poorly, right?
Yes.
I want God to help me be a better wife, a better husband, a better friend, a better mentor, a better worker, a better brother, sister, whatever your role is. Ask your higher being to help you be better in this season. Number two, appreciate the gifts I do have.
Big one.
I
Yeah.
know two friends of mine who have salaries we can dream of. And both of them are going through divorces right now. Both of them going through divorces. So do they have a beautiful homes and do they have nice cars? Yes. But they hurt right now because they're going through divorces. You know? Um, so God, let my happiness be internal, right? And let me value what peace I do have, what gifts I have. Janice, I'm a blessed man right now.
Yes, you are.
Man, I have my home. I got 2 cars in my garage. I have a career that I've been dedicated to for almost 30 years that I still wake up every day and I'm in love with being a clinician. I'm in love being a social worker
That's good.
because it's my ministry.
Hmm.
I get to help people. I'm a mentor. I love being Marcus's and David's and Ontario's and John and Donzel and my other mentees. I love doing that. I love being part of the solution because we talk about young black men all the time and we talk about their deficits. But I decided, you know what? Instead of talking about them, let me bless them. And it's working. I love being Anaya's dad. My daughter is at home cooking dinner. My 20-year-old daughter, she ain't out in the streets trying to hang with Nicki Minaj and Cardi B. She at home cooking for daddy right now. A 20-year-old girl.
Wow.
I raised the next Michelle Obama, and I'm proud of it. I got good friends who love me, and I love them. I love you, Janice, every day. I love my friend
And
Janice.
you're loved back, and you're loved back, and you know that.
Janice, I love that I lost 50 pounds. That I love
I'm
my,
sure.
I love it. I love being able to go in my closet and pull up my clothes from 5 years ago. I love it. I love it. And that's why I can say I appreciate the life I have.
And that's a beautiful thing, but what do you tell people that are in the throes of life and they're not feeling that, they're not even seeing what value they have? How do you enlighten them to tell them to even appreciate the gifts and the things that they do have, like 2 eyes and 2 ears and limbs, and I mean just basic things? How do you communicate that?
Well, see, when you're in the middle of a storm, it's hard enough for you to take the umbrella out and put it over your head, right?
Mm.
But you're focusing on the rain that's hitting you, right? What I do is tell people that go an umbrella, pick it up, unfasten it, and open it up, and then hold it above your head. See there? You got the rain from coming down on your head right then and there because you just bent down and picked up the umbrella. Thank God you had that umbrella.
Right.
Thank God you have the arms and the hands to lift it up. So what I do is I start going down the inventory list for people of
Mm.
what you do have,
Okay.
what you do have. Because it's so easy to focus in on what you don't have.
It's
Because,
true.
I tell people, stay your behinds off of Instagram looking at those Instagram models.
Oh, I know, isn't it depressing?
So you see that backdrop you got, Danielson, in your room right now? It looks
Uh-huh,
beautiful.
uh-huh.
So, but it's an illusion, right? It's
Hmm.
an illusion. I tell people, just using that example of the Instagram models, you got a 24-year-old who waistline is 31 inches because they woke up in the morning. They're not 60, 50 years old and they don't have babies yet. You know what I'm saying? They're fit. They're young and fit. So of course they don't look like that. They don't go to 9 to 5 jobs. They work at Amazon or UPS overnight. So they in the gym 5 days a week for 3 hours to get that look because they know their money is dependent on them having a six
Yeah.
pack.
Yep.
Then I heard stories of how those Instagram models they rent out Airbnbs. So you're thinking that's their house or their apartment.
Oh, that's a facade lifestyle. Okay. Uh,
Absolutely. But when they turn the camera on, we regular people thinking, Oh my God, they got the perfect life. They got the look, they got the condo, you know, they use their friends' Mercedes Benz to take pictures in. You know what I'm saying? And so and then they live in Miami. So, oh my God, they got the perfect life. I remember there was a dude on Instagram, and he was an Instagram model, and then he disappeared. He was really inspirational, right?
Mm-hmm.
Really inspirational. But he was a bodybuilder. He called back on 6 months later, saying that he got back addicted to drugs and became homeless. So people are like, wait a minute. Because he was like a Derek Jackson type guy.
Yeah.
You get these videos telling us to work out and love God and put the work into life and live this healthy lifestyle. And if you do all that, you can have my life. But then he got on drugs and became homeless. But think about the thousands of people who are looking at him every week, working on getting his life. But in that moment, it hit me. At the end of the day, he's a human being.
Yep.
And when you're a human being, human things happen to you, good and bad. That's why you got to make your own story. You got to write your own movie script because you got to be the producer of that movie. You got to be the writer of that novel. Nobody's going to write Khalid's book better than Khalid. Nobody's going to write the book better than Janice because you know every nuance about
Mm-hmm.
your life, the highs and the lows. So as we go into this holiday season, you know what I'm saying? The other part is build you a village. Now, do I like my by myself time? I sure do. I sure do love a long time. But then I like having a balance because I'm an
Right.
alpha. I'm an alpha dude. I'm an extrovert. So I like visiting people. I like people coming to my house and visiting me. I like going out, hanging with people I love and care for because people give you energy.
That's true.
This Thanksgiving, I'm not going over to a relative's house. I'm going over to my play sister's house
Oh,
because it's part of my village. So build a village around you of people who you know love you. I was telling a mentee of mine that I need him to switch his villagers. So he was like, well, Khalid, what you mean? I said, you have a master's degree. You have good upbringing, but you're hanging around GEDs and 1, 2, 3s.
oh,
Now, somebody might say, Khalid, uh-uh. When you need iron to sharpen iron, you don't look for somebody who got wood. You got to look for somebody who got iron. So now my mentee hanging out now with other men who who have master's degrees, who are married, who have children. That gives him something to work up to. Because the friends who he was hanging with before, he wasn't challenging his spirit. They weren't challenging him. But when you around, Janice, I hang around dudes who are CEOs, who are partners in firms, are vice presidents at colleges, right?
mm-hmm.
What do you think that moves me to do? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, am I still gonna hang around Pookie and them? Sure am. I sure am gonna hang around them because they make me laugh. They remind me of where I came from. But see, I know how to have both villagers. You know what I'm saying? So I call them my hood villagers, and then I call my platinum villagers. You know what I'm saying? But that's me.
Is that what you got living a double life? No, I'm just joking. I'm joking. I'm joking. You say your hood village and your platinum village.
My hood villagers and my platinum villagers. Now, when I get tired of the bougie platinum villagers, I go and hang with my boys in the hood because both ground me. both ground me.
Okay.
The hood reminds me of where I came from, and then the platinum reminds me where I'm at and where I'm going to. But if you think about the theme of what I'm talking about, I'm talking about putting the work into you. If you don't want to be miserable during this holiday season, don't own it, don't claim it, and don't speak it. If you want to be happy, do happy things. So, say you somebody who I don't have family. I
Right.
live in Chicago. You know what you do on Thanksgiving Day and on Christmas Day?
What?
Go down to the shelter and help feed the homeless.
That's a good one.
Go and take some clothes that you know you ain't getting your butt into no more, and go and take them down to the local Salvation Army and watch people who wish they had what you had be thankful. Go and take a drive as you're going down the water tower. Go under Little Wacker. I mean, Lower Wacker, and see all those homeless people out here in 10-degree temperatures in tents. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's how you make yourself happy. By
So,
love that man, it's a bigger world I live in.
so when you talk about internal happiness, and I'm probably looking at this from a female perspective, and you kind of mentioned the Instagram models and self image issues, and a lot of women have body issues, and some of them are depressed because they're alone. I mean, not only alone without any family, but alone without any mate, any boyfriend, any whatever. And how do you pull them into finding that internal happiness? You would have them go downtown and drive around. You would have them go to a homeless shelter. You would have them do something to see those less fortunate to find that internal happiness in them.
No. What I
No,
tell you is sit up and make a phone call. Now you may say, well, Khalid, what do you mean by that?
that's what I was gonna a phone call.
Yeah. Call your girlfriend who's been married 25 years.
5 years. I'm just joking.
How her marriage is going.
Oh, for real, for real. Yeah. Someone
How
said that
happy,
part, Deidre, that part.
ask her how does she feel about that her husband has cheated on her 20 out of those 25 years.
That part.
Go and turn on the Lifetime movie or
Oh
Be
yeah.
Her and watch these movies based on real life scenarios where these women end up in the back of a trunk because the husband is a crazy fool. See,
That's,
again, misery is right outside our front door.
but you
And
know what? But they don't realize that for whatever reason, people always want what they don't have and they glamorize and think it's so good. You know, and they look at it and go, "Oh, I wish I had that life." And it's like, to your point, call up a girlfriend who just got married or has been married a long time. Talk to them. Find out. I mean, oftentimes you're in a much better position. You know, so I just don't know how to communicate to because some people are just so down, particularly the ones that don't have anybody. I've always had such a huge family, so I've never had time to be down because it's like I have 10 siblings and my parents were here until very recently, and it's just a huge extended family. But some people don't have anybody, and they just
right,
walk around. Like,
right. I mean, Janice, I grew up as an only child, right? So I
oh
always
man,
fantasized about having a bunch of siblings, right? Then as I grew up, I would talk to people, and my friends are now in their 40s and 50s and 60s, right? So
mm-hmm,
they got parents who are dying, right? I remember a friend of mine, she had like just as many siblings as you had, right?
mm-hmm.
So it was time to plan mama's funeral. Here it is. She's one person. She got 8 siblings. She the only one that planned mama's funeral. So you can have a ton of people around
That's
you
true. That happens sometimes. Yeah.
and still be alone.
Someone said something interesting. They said, create the family you need.
There you go.
That was interesting. God's Royal underscore T. Yeah, that was interesting. Yeah.
I got a buddy named Okira, and Okira said something really profound to me years ago. He said, the wonderful thing about friends is that they are the family members that I adopted.
Ah.
Me again, brother. He said, my friends are the family members who I chose to adopt. I'm not connected with them by blood, by default. These are the people who I wanted to be in my life. That's a powerful statement right there.
That is very powerful. But Khalid, when you think about the lead story that I started out with Miss Robinson,
yeah,
that just something about that whole story is just unnerving. But and in her mind, these were her close friends. This was her village. I didn't know they stole money from it. I didn't know she paid for the whole trip. But
let me explain this to you, Janice. There were red signs blinking.
Really?
Of course it was. You know your dirty friends versus your good friend. You can't tell me. You know that girlfriend who you love her to death, but she would sleep with your husband in 2 seconds.
Yeah, some of them you do. Yeah, some of them you probably do know.
Janice, like I tell my buddies who cheat on their wives, I'm gonna have you as a long handle spoon friend. Why, Khalid? Because if you would cheat on your wife, what would you do to me as your boy?
It's true. That's true. The closest thing to you. What would you do to me? That's true.
Right. And so if you don't have an allegiance to the person you lay down in bed with every night and have kids with, you know, I told you I'm a mentor, right? Sorry. I told you I'm a mentor, right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the first speeches I give my mentees is, I need your loyalty. I need your loyalty. If you cannot give me your loyalty as your mentor, meaning, because with loyalty comes trust, comes allegiance, comes faith, comes love. I love my mentees. If they ever betray that, you're not my mentee no more.
So I got a question for you, which is somewhat personal. What would you tell your daughter who's like a straight A student going to be a neurosurgeon? You know, everybody who say that they like her don't like her. Jealousy is rampant, even among people that are less accomplished. What do you tell her?
Well, there's not much I got to tell Anaya Kathleen
Okay.
Scott, the granddaughter of Kathleen Scott. And my mother can meet you in 2 minutes and tell
and
you.
read you. Okay.
My daughter grew up around her granny. She got that wit about her.
Okay.
And she can decipher. Like my daughter had a best friend, right? And she said, Daddy, my best friend is not treating me like a sister. And I was like, well, Anaya, you know, give her a chance. Because I'm the turn the cheek type of person, right? And Anaya was like, Daddy, one day we was looking at the horror movie Carrie, right? Okay. You know Carrie, right?
Oh, yeah.
She said, Daddy, my friend is starting to treat me like I'm Carrie and she one of the popular girls. And when my daughter explained it like that, I said, "Not the next move." She said, she's not my best friend no more, Daddy.
There you go.
A young lady has reached out to my daughter several times. And my daughter is polite and is like, okay, bye.
Right, bye.
I got that Leo daughter.
What can I say?
I got that daughter. And again, she has my mother's wit. And then my daughter said something really powerful to me some years ago. She said, Daddy, I see how all your friends mistreat you. I said, now you know I started.
Kids will tell you that. Kids will say that.
Yeah, I started tearing up because when you're a daddy, a parent, a father, you only want your kids to see you as a hero and that you got it all together.
Right.
Baby, please explain that to me. She said, Daddy, you intertwine social work and friendship too much. You always are there for them and they're never there for you.
Ouch. Was she right?
She sure was, right?
Okay.
And because of the embarrassment and the shame and the hurt I felt in that moment, oh my God, I started releasing people. Remember, I grew up as an only kid. So in my head, I need to have 2,000 friends.
Right, right. Yeah, I got you.
Then you learn at some point it's about the quality,
There you go.
not the quantity. So my friends, and if they get out of pocket, my friends, I'm known for cursing people out. Like all my mentees have been cursed out. All my friends, I curse you out. Because see, first of all, I'm comfortable enough to curse you out.
Right.
I'm teaching you how to treat me.
And
So
that's what you have to do.
Khalid, here we go. Yep, yep. But people respect you when you have boundaries,
That's true.
you have parameters, and when you have a gauge. And when you put that crossing, when you put that line in the sand, people know if they should cross it or not.
Mm.
Because if you cross that line, I got to get you. But I'm going to warn you. Don't cross that line or I'm going to get you. And see, my friendship is a gift because
Yeah.
that dude called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. And he didn't live in Chicago. He was in another state. He called me at 1 o'clock in the morning. So I give good love. I give good love. That's why that's my favorite song in the world.
Okay.
Whitney Houston, I give good love. But that's me. I give good love out. But now you earn it. You have to earn it. So I'm saying all this to say, Janice, as we're getting ready to wrap up, and because this hour goes so quick,
I know it's
is that start loving you.
that's what we got to tell people. Start loving you.
Yes. Start treating yourself well. Go out tomorrow and go to Jules or Trader Joe's or where or Mariano's and buy you a wonderful Thanksgiving dinner. Even if you're sitting in that house by yourself, go and buy you a nice Christmas present. Wrap it up and put it under a tree.
Oh, I believe in that.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
believe in that.
My 50th birthday, I took my daughter to the Mall of America and I bought a $100 watch. I bought me this beautiful big old $400 watch and it felt good.
Mm-hmm.
I slept in that watch that first night. I slept in it. But it was like, Khalid, treat yourself. Sweetie, when my daughter left for college 2 years ago, I told you this, Janice. I thought I was going to be miserable with my baby going away to college.
I remember.
When my mentee drove me home and I got out the car and walked into my house, and he stayed with me for an hour just to make sure I wasn't going to commit suicide.
Oh, you weren't that bad.
Remember, he part of my village, and I loved him.
Yep.
Right? When he left, I looked around and I said, though I miss my baby,
But
I have to write my new chapter called My Turn.
there you go.
And I've been on it, Johnny. I've been on it. I've been on it. So take care of you in this holiday season. Stop worrying about what some man gonna do or what some woman ain't gonna do. Stop worrying about, oh, it's the cuffing season and all that.
Oh, I keep hearing that. Ugh. You're right. Self-care. We have to focus on self-care.
Absolutely. Or if you're gonna be doing that cuffing stuff or whatever, own it. Own your sexuality. Say, you know what? I just want this person for a night and then they can go home.
And they ain't got to come back. Bye.
Let me share a story with you. I did a relationship chat last week, right, with my friend Shatima. And I was telling them about, I got this friend who's a player, and I told you about it, he takes the women to Starbucks. And
Oh, the first date? Yeah.
And he goes to bed with them that same night.
Huh?
And is, hey, Khalid, you take women out and spend $100 and probably don't do anything. I take women to Starbucks and I pay $9 for coffee and I have sex with them before we leave out the parking lot.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know what the women response was at that relationship chat?
No.
They said to me, Khalid, sometimes we want $9 man tool. So I looked around, I'm like, maybe they didn't understand the story I just told them. She was like, no, women own their sexuality now.
If that's what they want, I guess that's what they want. Right.
Coffee and some.
I guess he was talking too much sexuality and it went out.
So
You
I
gotta just
was like, if that moves you, and if you're being true to yourself, go with it.
you temporarily disappeared. So go back to I don't know at what point when you kind of disappeared, then you popped back in. Okay, now you disappeared again. So we're gonna let you pop back in and talk about the women who were in the group and talked about sexuality. That's when you went out.
Right, I'm sorry. But they was
That's right.
basically, hey, sometimes we just want a $9 coffee and some. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then don't complain a week later when you feeling dirty about
Now,
it.
if they're owning it, then they're not feeling dirty. That's what they wanted. So it's like,
But I've been on this planet 53 years. We tend to have regrets about stuff. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're not being true with yourself. So my thing is, if you okay with that, be all the way okay with it. Again, what I'm telling people in this moment, own your life. Live life on your terms. Because if you're living for other people, you're going to keep being disappointed.
now you spoke a mouthful then. Live it on your terms. Always trying to self-improve, always taking self-care, but live it on your terms.
Absolutely.
That's true. You're right. You know what time it is already. We got like a couple minutes. And there is an announcement that I wanted to make that you know what, you guys, guess what, Khalid. Now everybody know he's on shows all the time. Wait, I see something else here that I want to post. That may be sexuality or they may actually be desperate. Ladies, don't confuse the two. God's Royal. Oh man. God's Royal has some great comments.
Right.
Ladies, I guess it's a woman. I don't know. It could be a man. Ladies, raise the standard and wait for the one who will meet it. I think it's a woman. I think God's
Royal. Until then, still enjoy your life.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, you have to be true to yourself, whatever it is. Not trying to impress anyone or do whatever. But I did want to mention that Mr. Scott, Dr. Scott, Khalid Scott, is going to be on another intellectual radio show. And he is going to be on December 3rd. It'll be the first time on that show, if I'm not mistaken, which is a Saturday at 1 p.m. And I don't know what the name of the show is. What's the name of the show? Help me with the name of it.
Well, I know the segment that I'm doing with Angela is going to be Khalid's Conversation.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about everything from mental health to love and relationships and everything in between.
Woo! So he's even spreading his wings even more. And I'm going to start a new segment first Sunday of every month. It's going to be Lift Him Up Sundays. And what I'm going to be doing is calling on independent, inspirational, or gospel artists with a copywritten project, of course, to be on the show. I'll be happy to interview you. If you want to perform, we can do that too. I love interviewing artists. Everyone knows that's a passion of mine. So I'm looking forward to that too. Inspirational and gospel music again. My first guest is going to be on December 4th, and it'll be Dennis Smith with his 2 projects. And I'll be talking to him and playing some of his music. I have a vested interest in his music anyway. So that's how it goes. But it's that time, and I don't want Earl to get ready to kick us off before time. It has been real. Let's see if we got some more. Oh, who is God's Royal? Thank you so much, Khalid. That's for you. That's for you. And also Miss Battle. We want to shout out to everyone who I can see. I mean, China Davis, thanks for tuning in. Joyce Oda out of Atlanta. Thanks for tuning in. Gazelle Turcoit, I probably said her name wrong. Thanks for from Connecticut. Wow, thanks for tuning in. Haven't met a whole lot of black people from Connecticut. That's nice. Thanks for tuning in. Deidre Battle, Godra, you just been holding the conversation. Cynthia Oda, thanks for tuning in out of Indy. Deidre Battle, thanks for tuning in. All of you great people. Romaine Oda out of Indy, thanks for tuning in. And all the ones who Angela Johnson, thanks for tuning in. Cindy Max, thanks for tuning in. This is it. It's one sister to another internet radio show. That's where you're going to be at. December 3rd is the first show at 1 p.m. So you guys all follow him and listen to him there. And we will be talking to you real soon. This is the end of the show right now. And I'll be back. Is next week the 3rd? No. Next week is Thanksgiving. I'll be back next week, I believe. Anyway, I'll see everyone. Everyone has a blessed week. I'll talk to you soon.